is harder than I like to think, but it's easy when you're by my side. No point in calling, you just have to see the fundamentals of our love tonight. Cause I've been looking at a photograph of you, and I've been thinking about all the ways you move. This isolation got me feeling like I'm moving my love. Yeah, when I wake up, I feel empty, not beside you. My whole life been searching just to find you. This quarantine, it hasn't got the right to keep us apart. Killing time, we got nowhere to be. You're sending messages I can't ignore. No contemplating, coming close to me. I'm bored at home, can't leave the house no more. But I've been looking at a photograph of you, and I've been thinking about all the ways you move. This isolation got me feeling like I'm losing my love. Yeah, when I wake up, I feel empty, not beside you. My whole life been searching just to find you. This quarantine, it hasn't got the right to keep us apart. You, when I wake up, I feel empty, not beside you. My whole life been searching just to find you. This quarantine, it hasn't got the right to keep us apart.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Morning hits like a late night call. Same four walls, but they feel too small. Coffee cold on the counter again. Writing list just to breathe, my friend. You say maybe like it's all you are, but I see thunder sleeping in your heart. You've been shrinking yourself just to fit that frame. Tell me, when did your fire start to hide its flame? Rise from the static, break through the habit. You were never made to stay this low. You're stronger than panic, more than the damage. There's a world inside you. Let it go, let it go. Rise from the static, let it go. Old scars like a map on your skin. Every line says you chose to begin. You've been told you're too much to hold. moment you step through the fear. This is the story you start writing here. Right from the start.
Good morning. Thanks for joining me here today on the Real Gypsy Soul channel. It's the 15th of January 2026, and I appreciate you being here. I know there's a lot of other channels that you could be hanging out at, and you picked me, and I appreciate you. I had a thought yesterday with all that is going on in our world right now. You know, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, literally. And in the midst of it all, I read in my local news, there's a suburb, Stokes County, King, North Carolina, to me, and they're all up in arms over a data center that has been proposed to be built in some nice area. It's in the Sourtown Mountain area, which is some tribal, areas there with should stay untouched to preserve history. And so over money, people are fighting over this proposed data center and what all it will entail as far as draining natural resources. Because as you know, to have a data center, it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of water. And the reason it uses a lot of water is it's used for steam to cool off the data center, to keep it cool. If you can imagine your phone in the car, you can't let it, get really hot or it melts and everything goes awry, right? So same sort of concept, so to speak. And as far as using electricity, it was said in the proposal that one day at this data center would use an entire year's energy in Raleigh, if you could just equate that. So, and it's an eyesore to the farmers and the scenic view of King and Sourtown Mountain. And so I was watching some documentary on Greenland and the enormous icebergs that are there, and how there's so much vast land not being used, and the minerals that are there that are needed to make the batteries for the data centers and stuff. And so it went off in my head, bing, bing, bing. There's only 3 people in here listening to this, so I doubt this will go viral. But why don't we put the data centers where the water is, where the minerals are? If we're going to acquire Greenland, so to speak, real estate talk, then why don't we build those data centers in Greenland? Wouldn't that make sense? And preserve the United States soil, because it's already been tainted with, not even to get me started on all the chemicals in our fertilizer and how they've tainted Earth with the solar farms and shit. So, let's leave America land alone and intact and build the data centers in Greenland. Wouldn't that make more sense? Why tie up more real estate here in America where it's sparse now. Really is, especially with these garbage affordable housing crackerjack houses going up every freaking where, right? Just a thought. So I thought we would talk about Greenland. I'm going to pull this video up here. Hopefully it's the one I watched. There's a lot out there on it. Do your research, and we're going to do the Greenland documentary here. Let me know if you can hear me over the video, because I would like to talk about it and add commentary
You're
as we
standing in
watch
polar
it.
bear country.
Look at all
Greenland.
that water.
Out in the middle of the ocean lies a landmass 3 times the size of France, home to just 50,000 people. A place with no roads linking towns, where dog sleds and helicopters are the only legs that can carry you forward. Greenland doesn't feel like anywhere you've ever been. It feels like another planet, hiding in plain sight on Earth. So let's step beyond the edge of the map and into a world where nature is still the undisputed ruler.
Okay, so with everyone, worried about using, let me go see what she's barking at. Give me just 2 seconds. What's the matter? Who is it? Is it the mailman? Is it the mailman? Who is it? It's okay. Stop. Just the neighbor's kids getting ready to leave for school. They're running late. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can go over here to this. I want to read you some of the concerns that they have about the data center there. I mean, this makes perfect sense in my mind. They're worried about more income-based housing going up, which is going to uglify the land. The uses of the natural resources, the water I just told you about, and the electricity, the way on the electricity there. Good morning. Thanks for coming. I'm discussing what I think they should do with our data centers. I mean, look at all of this water that's not being in use, and the icebergs alone could totally be a resource for the data center instead of using American land,
Often called the Northern Hemisphere's frozen heart, the Greenland ice sheet is a colossal ice kingdom that influences the planet's climate rhythm. Spreading across nearly 1.7 million square kilometers, it isn't just a barren wasteland. It's a living force that helps regulate Earth's balance.
I hope you're doing okay this morning. So this is my proposal as I, started my live this morning. We have some proposal land here in King, Stokes County, North Carolina, Sourtown Mountain area, a proposed data center. And not only would it look ugly in the middle of farmland, USA, but it would also drain resources. And in this proposal, it was said, word on the street on our little groups that we have on Facebook, that just one day in the data center would use up 1 year's electricity in all of Raleigh. So my thought is, why put it here when we're going to acquire, allegedly, Greenland, when we could use it there? And the minerals are being used to, make the batteries, the motherboards, and that sort of thing. Chips, AI chips. Why? Well, it just seems like it would make common sense not to use what little land we've got left that China didn't buy up and all these stupid corporations with these crackerjack box housing communities. And so I just thought maybe we should take a look at Greenland and have an open mind about its use.
It stretches out like an endless white desert, broken by strange, haunting cracks. Deep turquoise crevasses slice into ancient ice like jagged veins, exposing hidden depths across the plateau. Above it all, polar winds never stop, shaping snow into frozen waves and carrying a soundtrack of isolation that has echoed for thousands of years. This is where calving begins, where ice breaks away with a thunder-like roar and becomes giant icebergs. These frozen giants help build a vital ocean ecosystem. As they drift and melt, they release mineral-rich nutrients into the sea, feeding a chain of life that starts with microscopic plankton and reaches all the way up to whales.
So you see, there's definitely opportunity that's, vast. You know what I'm saying? So now that I've discussed that, I want to go up here to see where we are with it. 23 hours ago, 16 hours ago. Let's go with the most recent. Let's go with PBS here.
Denmark.
Am I still sharing my screen? Yeah, okay, good.
Pledged 4.2 billion.
For years. His repeated threats to take over the island have prompted warnings that such a move could lead to the breakup of NATO. Malcolm Brabant reports from Copenhagen.
High noon in Copenhagen, and the guard changes at the main royal palace as Danes worried that their kingdom is about to be shrunk by a Trumpian heist. President Trump has been stretching nerves here in Copenhagen this past week by ramping up his rhetoric, but the Danes haven't responded. They're hoping that quiet diplomacy will neutralize the threat to annex Greenland. Denmark is backed by NATO allies who believe in the sanctity of Greenlandic sovereignty. They fear the president has been emboldened by his Venezuelan operation and will pull the trigger.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland. And we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay?
And the crowd roared.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Rasmus Jarlov chairs Denmark's Parliamentary Defence Committee. He says the Danes will be accommodating, but they have some solid red lines.
Trump has said that they need to do something on Greenland. And I would take him at his word, because we don't mind doing something on Greenland. But what we do mind and what we can never agree to is just handing over Greenland, selling 57,000 Danish citizens to become Americans. They don't want to do that. And it's not a matter of price. They categorically don't want that. And we are not going to agree to it.
Greenland possesses vast untapped mineral wealth. Its strategic importance grows daily as the Arctic ice melts, creating maritime passageways across the top of the globe. The United States' sole military presence is its Pittafik space base, used for missile early warning and defense and space surveillance. Vice President Vance used his visit there last March to pile pressure on Denmark, which is responsible for Greenland's defense and foreign affairs.
Denmark has not kept pace in devoting the resources necessary to keep this base, to keep our troops, and in my view, to keep the people of Greenland safe from a lot of very aggressive incursions from Russia, from China, and from other nations.
Lynn Mortensgaard is an Arctic specialist at the Danish Institute for International Studies. She says that under a 1951 treaty, there's nothing to stop America beefing up its military presence.
In this defense agreement, the U.S. has very wide-ranging options for expanding its military presence in Greenland with bases or increasing troops or having new installations, radar installations. Many different things could be done under this defense agreement.
Last October, Denmark pledged $4.2 billion to boost Greenland's security with ice-breaking patrol vessels and advanced drones. This commitment, though, is apparently insufficient for President Trump.
There is basically nothing to stop the United States military from staking a claim in Greenland. So, for example, a single soldier could just walk down the main street of Nuuk and claim that this is America now, but that is something that would be immediately contested.
Associate Professor Tom Crosby lectures on military operations at the Royal Danish Defence College.
This is forcing NATO to contemplate its existence and the possibility that it will not exist in the near future. So this is an absolute existential question for NATO. It is unprecedented, and I would say it was unimaginable just a few years ago. It's the most significant challenge NATO has ever encountered.
But on Monday, NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte promised action.
All allies agree on the importance of the Arctic and Arctic security, because we know that with sea lanes opening up, there is a risk that the Russians and the Chinese will be more active. And currently, we are working on the next steps to make sure that indeed we collectively protect what is at stake here.
For a different perspective, we turn to Martin Åholm, a former
Okay, let me go over here and let's see some more of what Trump says about it. This is 55 minutes ago on Associated
Imagine
Press.
being able to build an app with your name on it.
And just skip over this commercial here for you guys.
Don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen. One way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
President Donald Trump wants to own Greenland, and the White House hasn't ruled taking the island by force. We're here in Greenland, which is at the center of a geopolitical storm. There are plenty of international press in the capital, Nuuk, asking residents what they think. Everyone we've spoken to has said they don't want to join the United States and that Greenland is not for sale. Greenland is a semi-autonomous region that's part of Denmark, which is a member of NATO. The Danish Prime Minister has warned if Trump takes it over, it would basically be the end of the alliance.
Men jeg vil også gøre klart, at hvis USA vælger at angribe et andet NATO-land militært, så hører alting op, altså inklusiv vores NATO og dermed den sikkerhed, som er blevet tilvejebragt siden afslutningen på 2. verdenskrig.
Greenland's important because as the ice melts, the possibility of shorter trade routes to Asia opens up, and it could be easier to extract and transport untapped deposits of critical minerals, which are needed for things like computers and phones. Trump's also said he wants the island to expand America's security and deter Russia and China, but experts say he can do that without owning it. American, Danish and Greenlandic officials are meeting to discuss the island's future, but it's likely to be a tough discussion.
A top Danish official says that.
Policy question. How much money are you thinking of giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a policy?
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland. And we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will.
There I am. Okay, now I want to go over here and show you this. Okay, we're going to go over here and let me share the screen again. Now let me show you this.
Massive buildup of AI data centers is creating even more division on Capitol Hill. Ashley, what's the split between Republicans and Democrats on this?
Well, Stu, Republicans are generally pro-development in the effort to make the U.S. dominant in the AI world. There are already more than 4,000 data centers up and running across the country. That number expected to triple in 4 years. But lawmakers, like Bernie Sanders, say it must stop, claiming it benefits the rich while causing potential job losses from AI. Also, along with two other concerns.
Meta's down to...
Number one, they're driving up electricity costs immensely. Number two, utilizing limited resources.
President Trump weighing in on truth, saying in part, under sleepy Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats, the average American household's monthly utility bills went up massively, over 30%. I never want Americans to pay higher electricity bills because of data centers. And Trump says, look, these centers that require an immense amount of power to run, thousands of servers must pay for themselves. They also require millions of gallons of water to cool on all of those servers. To data center, it was residential 5% in some parts of the U.S. In response,
sorry about that. He was barking at the mailman.
Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta are increasingly looking to third-party power providers, those that are separate from the grid, or creating their own power supply through fossil fuels or nuclear energy.
If we're going to win the war with China, when it comes to AI-driven data centers, must have both fossil fuel nuclear power as our roads and a lot of it.
Lot of it. As Congress debates the merits, there are worker savings being debated across the country. Virginia, considering making environmental impact studies absolutely mandatory before approving a data center. A Texas bill requires data centers to show shoulder the burden of improving the infrastructure, and in Georgia, Assembly clear that not the energy inequality. But studies show that on average, it takes about 1,500 people to build a data center, but once it's operational, it employs fewer people.
Hush, it's just the neighbor.
Yes, there is. Thanks, Ash.
The worst state to live.
Okay, so do you see why my idea is making sense to me yet? I'm going to show you this data center that this lady talks about living near. This is the one I want to show you right here. Okay, let me give you this.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage, fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000, and that's not counting any of the
All the
faucets.
replacement
Yeah.
of the fixtures and
That's
faucets
just
and
the way.
toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility. Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
Data centers going to be a very hot item.
This entire supercomputer is built to power Grok.
We see data centers as the most exciting asset class.
Meta is building a 2 gigawatt plus data center that is so large it would cover a significant part of Manhattan.
But data centers come with big costs, from light and noise pollution to the environmental impacts to the potential rising costs of energy bills. These facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
They should be responsible for that, not us.
Search the internet for profits that Meta has made, Amazon, Microsoft. They can afford to pay for their own generation.
We came to Georgia to ask two questions. What's the true cost of the AI revolution, and who should be paying for it? Your house is here, and the data center's right there.
It's less than 400 yards.
Beverly and Jeff Morris bought their home an hour's drive from downtown Atlanta in 2016, but their roots in the community run much deeper.
These are the concerns that they're having locally to me. This was a rural part of Georgia where they have horses. This is a horse farm.
And the country has always just been my peace and my therapy. When we found this place, we just
felt home. The data center that's now the Morris's next door neighbor happens to be owned by Meta, the company you know for Facebook and Instagram, but has also been breaking into artificial intelligence. They started construction on this data center campus in 2018.
definitely changed everything. They destroyed the environment, taken down all the trees across the road.
Beautiful pines, beautiful forest.
The light pollution is...
You don't have to have a night light in the house. You can walk around the house at night and see everything. It's that bright.
This is the video of the dust from Facebook where the construction looks like right now out my front door. The wind blowing in all of this stuff
from across the construction, across the road.
You see that?
This is all from Meta.
Yeah,
From the
I was
data
standing on my
center.
front porch.
I think eventually that affected our well water. We're on a well here, and we started having issues with our well in 2018. I have to replace the hot water heater. I've replaced 2 washing machines and a dishwasher because of the sediment that's coming in.
A lot of what the Morrises are facing is from the polluting effects of this massive construction. But that's only one part of the story. There are serious costs to communities once data centers are operational too. To explain that, we have to back up for a second. I wouldn't blame you if you were asking yourself, what the heck is a data center anyway? Their origins date back to early, clunky supercomputers or mainframes in the 1950s and 60s. And then in the internet, the modern data center was born as a way for internet providers to connect businesses and the world to the web. In the 2010s, data centers became larger as they became critical to new cloud storage.
To the cloud. With the cloud, we share a sync photo that allows us to all work on the same documents.
Everything from your pet photos to entire workplaces to files for video streaming, like this video you're watching right now. We're in the cloud. Today, we are in the midst of a tectonic shift in processing needs, as large as the birth of the internet, artificial intelligence.
A transformational moment for data center demand.
But the thing is, AI processing demands are much larger. One report showed that a Google search using a ChatGPT-like AI feature used 30 times as much power as a normal Google search. In the next 3 years,
Hey, White Rabbit, good to see ya. And my proposal is that's what we should use Greenland for. Instead of using up our resources here in the U.S., we've already lost so much already. They should use Greenland's water and icebergs for the data center.
data center use of electricity is expected to double.
Thanks
or
for
even
coming and
triple.
joining.
And the state of Georgia has the fastest data center growth in the entire country.
The 2 biggest reasons data centers come to Georgia are that electricity rates for industrials, which is the class that they're in, are 42% below the national average. And the second biggest one are data center tax breaks. They received over $180 million in tax breaks last year.
The week we were in Georgia,
Wouldn't
a
it just
showdown
make
was happening at the
sense
state capitol over 2
to
bills
have it,
tied to data
them all
centers.
built there
Senator
on
Hofstadter
Greenland?
had proposed 2 different bills, and one of them was SB 34, which was the data centers bill, to move the burden of the operational costs of data centers from to themselves.
And what's been-
Consumer Utility Council, a legal advocate for ratepayers and small businesses.
Bills like these are the result of mounting residential anger and the work of dedicated advocates across the state, like Diana Dietz, who lives 50 miles away from the Capitol in Fayette County.
This is a huge industrial project plopped in a residential area. This was the original plan, 122 acres. And then the Development Authority got involved.
In 2022, officials in Fayette County voted to annex and rezone an additional 412 acres for a data center campus. Fayetteville's City Council voted 5-0 in favor of the development,
Exactly why they should put this over in Greenland.
despite passionate opposition from some local residents. The site was then purchased by QTS, which is owned by Blackstone, for $153.8 million.
These speculators, investors, are secretly buying up land.
Speculators. Remember when the California
And
governor
it was all
said,
done
got these
so that
speculators
when we all
coming in.
went to the 4 public hearings between the county and the city, it was a done deal. This is the one that's currently under construction, and this is where Gene and Joe are.
Gene and Joe Marshall live on the edge of Fayetteville in Fayette County on an 8-acre property.
This driveway is almost the line for Fayette County versus Fayetteville, where QTS's property is located. We have absolutely no say in anything that happens over here.
Despite their vocal opposition to the project, living next to construction on all sides of their home has become their daily reality for the last 2 years.
They do nightly pours over here, and in the back part at the other building, the lights are shining and there is noise. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. So
It wakes
they
you
don't
up?
stop. Oh yeah, sure.
We went to visit Nikki Vanderslice, who heads up the Fayette County Economic Development Authority, a non-governmental agency that played a central role in the marketing of the land for data center
Agree.
development. For residents who live alongside these data centers, life has become very difficult. What do you say to them?
Well, I say to them that there's a couple of things. One, we were very transparent. The Development Authority was very open about attracting a data center, and there wasn't any resistance until it came to their property specifically.
This is what's
Vanderslice
happening
says
in
data
a
centers are good for the
suburb
community,
of where
even
I
if some don't see the benefits yet.
In 2021, that property paid
They're
$36,000
selling
in property
grandma's
taxes
land
total.
for the highest bidder.
In 2024, on raw land, it paid $1.13 million in property taxes. That contributed $760,000 to our local Board of Education. I'm apologetic that they're being impacted, but I also see the benefits of what the companies are doing and how they're improving our economy. And so there's the balance that when you have 200 out of 120,000 people, that you have to balance what's the highest and best use for the whole of the community.
It's just the height of selfishness to imagine that one county's benefit to the huge detriment of 158 other counties in Georgia that now have to pay higher electric bills is okay. It's not okay. It drives inequity.
And the water
It's very
resources you
That's
have
Patty
there,
Durant.
and the
And as you can
minerals
tell,
you have
she does
there.
not agree with Nikki Vanderslice. Patty is a longtime consumer advocate and expert on energy policy who's been raising the alarm about rising costs of electricity related to data centers. Are data centers going to drive up energy costs for residents across the state?
On May 1st, Georgia Power residential ratepayers experienced a 24% rate increase.
See,
Just
here we
since
go.
2023, Georgia Power has raised rates 6 times.
And related to those rate hikes, remember those 2 bills we mentioned earlier? We were with Patty as she was watching a live feed of the Senate floor.
Today is crossover day, which means any bill that does not get through one side of the House or the Senate to the other side is dead for the year. And right now, Senate Bill 34 is not on that list.
By later that evening, both bills had failed to get a vote. As disappointed and angry as Patty was, she wasn't too surprised.
Georgia legislators are getting soaked with money from Georgia Power. We're saying
of interest?
absolutely. It is clearly corrupting. This is the highest paid utility CEOs in the country. Why is the poorest region in the country paying the most to our CEOs?
$23 million, $33 million.
It's ridiculous how much money they make.
Our time in Georgia is crucial to understanding what's happening all across the country because the growth of data centers is not slowing down anytime soon. And tech billionaires have already been complaining about the amount of red tape involved in.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to let's see. Hang on a second here. Here it is. This is me locally.
All right, so listen.
Probably a commercial first, so skip through this commercial for you.
Harrison was one of the largest slave owners in the U.S. and Chad Bailey's 5th great-grandfather.
This one was the first one to come to Stokes County, and then he was the one having the kids with his slave. That's how it went from white to black. It started right here.
Behind the gates and the trees along Sarah Farm Road is a Harrison family's plantation home, where they were born, lived, and worked since the 1700s. It's now surrounded by yellow zoning signs, a visual reminder that a developer wants to build a data center here. Preserving this site is important for Bailey.
To keep our legacy going, we don't want to see all our rich history buried under a data center.
Nearby the site is Peter Harrison's grave, along with other family members' graves.
Limo Harrison. But I know that's his son, which this is my grandmother's uncle.
Before the Harrisons lived here, it was home to the Sara tribe. Patty Dunlap, the Stokes County Historical Society president, says remains and artifacts of a Sora woman was discovered in the area of the proposed site.
They were so significant that, and the state of North Carolina thought they were so significant that her statue is on the steps of the North Carolina Museum of History.
That is why, to Dunlap, preservation of this land is important.
Native American site, there are many burials there, and probably more than just in the bottomland.
Now to controversy in Stokes County. County commissioners made a decision last night, paving the way for a huge data center. Hundreds of people showed up to that meeting opposing the idea.
Yeah, well, some people say it's bad for the community. County leaders say it's necessary. WFMY News 2's Lauren Tier breaks down the conflicting opinions.
Well, at this point, it's been almost 24 hours since hundreds of people gathered for the Stokes County Commissioners meeting last night. Today, many are struggling to accept the board's decision to allow the construction of a large-scale data center in Walnut Cove. Data centers are specialized facilities that power the internet by storing and processing the data behind services like cloud computing, banking, streaming, and AI. The site of this project, also known as Project Delta, is 1,800 acres off Highway 311 near the Dan River. Real estate developer David Couch owns this land. The crowds at last night's meeting filled the chamber as well as an overflow room, leaving hundreds standing outside. Some spoke during public comment, directly addressing commissioners.
Right,
while others
exactly.
chanted disapproval from the parking lot.
I think just because we felt, a lot of the people in the community felt as if we had raised our voices and our concern without really a whole lot of people that opposed our point of view from the community. And it kind of felt like they had already made up their minds before we got there, to be honest.
I hope and pray that they do right by the people. They say they're not going to have loud generators. They say they're not going to destroy the environment that much. They're not going to go after the Dan River that much. I hope they stick to their word, but knowing how businessmen operate, I don't have high hopes.
CEO of the company developing the land, Engineered Land Solutions, says in a statement, "This is the beginning of the process, and we look forward to following through on our promises to develop responsibly and be a good neighbor." The project's website says a mix of land, power, and fiber make Walnut Cove an ideal location for this project. It also says construction could start in the next 18 months, ultimately creating 250 to 500 permanent jobs.
That's it. 500
Now to
jobs. That's it. I don't see how that is a high profit margin there. You know what I mean? Only 500 jobs. A grocery store would employ that. You know? I feel like I don't even know who to take ideas to anymore. Isn't that what they should use Greenland for? We're going to look at another one here.
Try anymore.
Sure.
I'm just exhausted from it.
Every house requirement that they plot is leveled.
Joy and Jean Van Loo are a fifth-generation farming family in New Carlisle, Indiana, a small town with around 2,000 people.
It's the same guy. I want to hear from somebody else. Hang on, here we go. What's this
Let's
one
talk
look
about
like?
the real life consequences of AI that are happening right now. So the AI that you're using, your social media apps, it doesn't exist in a cloud. It exists in a center. What look like giant warehouses, but they really house all of these servers. One critical thing is the amount of electricity that these data centers require. Business Insider calculated as a range. On the low end, that's as much as the state of Ohio used in 2023, their entire electricity use. On the high end, it's about as much as Florida used in that same year. So let's talk about data centers' impact on local economies. All of these different cities across the country are racing to have data centers built in their areas. is. In Ohio, cities are
Hey, Artsy
making these
Cookies.
deals with large companies like Amazon that are very profitable. What we found is that for every full-time, long-term job that's employed at a data center, Amazon might be saving as much as $1 million in taxes that they don't pay to the state or the cities. And what jobs do come from data centers are pretty much in their construction and wrap up long before your economic development deal is done. And data centers are also contributing in major ways to air and water pollution. Because of data centers skyrocketing electricity demand, a lot of utilities are starting to say, we can't meet this demand without relying more and more on fossil fuels. So this is causing more and more air pollution. The power generation for these data centers could contribute $5.7 to $9.2 billion of annual public health costs, in numbers of hundreds of thousands of additional asthma cases that can be wheezing, tightness of the chest, difficulty breathing, and can be hundreds of additional deaths each year. And what is it like living next to these giant data centers? So these residents are living right next to these industrial facilities that are running 24/7, and they're making this really ominous drone noise. So it's a constant noise of their cooling fan. Some residents told us that they can actually hear it inside their houses, and some had to sleep in the basement because they couldn't sleep. And how are data centers deepening the water crisis? So to power those data centers, you need a huge amount of electricity, and those servers get really hot, so you need something to cool them. Sometimes data centers are using water to cool their
Greenland.
servers. They're finicky drinkers. They only really want to use drinking water. Data centers are competing directly with residents who are living in the desert where there's already not enough water to go around. Business Insider requested records of how much water every data center is using. Got a lot of redacted records, and in 2 cases, cities actually sued us to prevent the release of those records. There's a lot of interest in the promise of AI, but the costs are already right here, and they're impacting us today. Let's talk about the real-life consequences of AI.
The average American holds hundreds of gigabytes of data in the cloud. Big tech companies, the healthcare and finance sectors, governments, of course, hold much more. Of course, none of this lives up in the clouds. It's stored in large warehouses on the ground. In many data centers, massive cooling systems suck out hot air and pass it through air conditioning units in a continuous loop. The most common type uses chilled water to absorb heat and release it from a cooling tower. This Microsoft data center was built in 2019, and over the last 3 years, one has become 5. And as you can see from the air permit documents we requested from the Maricopa County Air Quality Department, this cluster is likely to be huge.
We're looking at a total of 280 generators at this facility, so it's a huge amount.
Documents show that Microsoft planned for each of these buildings to use 1 million gallons of water a day, a total of 1.83 billion gallons a year. That's enough water for roughly 61,000 Americans, or a city the size of Santa Cruz, California. All this in a desert-like climate that is getting hotter and drier every year.
This is a proposed site for a new data center here in the southwest of Arizona. From what I understand, the only way they're going to get water here is drill into the ground and use groundwater.
White Rabbit.
As the Colorado River makes its way south from the Rockies, its precious water is siphoned off for agriculture, industry, and housing. Since 2000, river flow has shrunk by 20%. So by the time it reaches Arizona, every drop counts. These maps show how extreme drought has gripped the state since 2000. Zoom out and you can see the entire southwest is drying up. And then, if we overlay the map we've built, you can see the mega thirsty data centers moving in. The average American holds hundreds of gigabytes of data in the cloud. Big tech companies, the healthcare and finance sectors, governments, of course, hold much more. Of course, none of this lives up in the clouds. It's stored in large warehouses on the ground. In many data centers, massive cooling systems suck out hot air and pass it through air conditioning units in a continuous loop. The most common type uses chilled water to absorb heat and release it from a cooling tower. This Microsoft data center was built in 2019, And over the last 3 years, one has become 5. And as you can see from the air permit documents we requested from the Maricopa County Air Quality Department, this cluster is likely to be huge.
We're looking at a total of 280 generators at this facility, so it's a huge amount.
Documents show that Microsoft planned for each of these buildings to use 1 million gallons of water a day, a total of 1.83 billion gallons a year. That's enough water for roughly 61,000 Americans, or a city the size of Santa Cruz, California. All this in a desert-like climate that is getting hotter and drier every year.
This is a proposed site for a new data center here in the southwest of Arizona. From what I understand, the only way they're going
Okay, let's see. This was the one that I wanted to show you. The other one. Let's see this one right here.
This 35,000 square foot data center is tiny compared to the largest ones in the US. Those can stretch to well over 1 million square feet. Lunavi offers cloud services to customers like betting apps, mapping companies, insurance, and healthcare businesses. Zoom out and you can see that the location is no accident. Cheyenne, the capital of Wyoming, sits on an east-west internet superhighway. The city is also well connected to renewable energy generated by these wind farms. Wyoming is only a small player compared to Virginia, and to attract more, the state is offering generous tax breaks to encourage the big tech giants. Lunavi has the space to scale up to the more energy-hungry GPU processors used to train AI algorithms.
So this big white space is future computing. The cabinets in this facility now have a capacity of something like 5 to 10 kW. If they want to build the ones that are going to do AI with graphic processing units, GPUs, that'll go up to something like 70 to 100 kW.
GPUs do need more power, but they can complete more tasks than a regular processing chip and in less time. The lower ambient temperatures in the high plains of Wyoming mean data centers use less energy and water to cool themselves. Lunavi say they use around 500,000 gallons of water a month when at full capacity. That's roughly the amount of water used by 200 people.
The nice, cool ambient air temperatures allow us to maintain a low PUE, which is a power usage efficiency, which then allows us to just be a lower cost center for our customers and pass those savings on.
This 35,000 square foot data center is tiny compared to the largest ones in the US. Those can stretch to well over 1 million.
You're being robbed and you don't even know it yet.
We need Greenland for national security and international security. So I think we'll
This is why
go
we
as
need
far as we have to
Greenland.
go. We need Greenland, and the world needs us to have Greenland.
The US still has a military base in Greenland, and the response to Mr. Trump's suggestion was clear.
Jamen, Grønland grønlændernes, og Grønland en del af det danske kongerige, og det kommer ikke til at ændre sig.
Polls suggest most Greenlanders don't want to be part of the US. The majority want to be independent. For Donald Trump, a strong presence in the Arctic is key to countering the partnership between Russia and China, which the two countries describe as a friendship without limits.
You don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen.
Russian and Chinese Coast Guard ships have carried out joint patrols in the Arctic Ocean, and bombers from both countries have flown together near Alaska.
It's the first time that we've seen these two countries fly together like that.
The worry is that some of those drills, exercises, patrols might generate a risky escalation, a miscalculation.
China says its actions are about deepening cooperation with Russia and aren't aimed at third parties. However, This relationship has tensions of its own.
There's been a danger that Russia's fully aware of, is that the more and more it collaborates with China, the more it's giving China legitimacy to act as a very powerful near-Arctic state.
China describes itself as a near-Arctic state, despite being 1,400 kilometers from the Arctic Circle. In 2018, it launched a range of investment projects it called the Polar Silk Road, but it's hit roadblocks in communities wary of being over-reliant on China.
They want to be a polar superpower. We want a relationship to China, but we do not want to be dependent on China.
There's no question that it was trying to sort of have a significant impact in the Arctic, but it hasn't come to fruition.
Most of China's economic success in the Arctic has come from partnering with Russia on projects like this natural gas extraction field. And shipping this gas has been made easier by the Arctic Ocean's melting sea ice. This was how much there was in summer 1979. And this is in 2024, a reduction of 2.6 million square kilometres, which is roughly the size of
I'll put
Argentina.
a link down there if you want to come
Many
up.
see this as an opportunity to exploit the Arctic for shipping during the summer months. Of the 3 potential routes, the only one currently viable is along Russia's northern coast, known as the Northern Sea Route.
There's been the hope that more and more traffic could bypass the usage of the Suez Canal and shave thousands of miles of shipping time and distance.
97 cargo voyages were made using the Northern Sea Route in 2024, mostly exports from Russia to China. But compared to Suez, with 13,000 ships passing through every year, it's a long way from being a competitive option. The Arctic Ocean is frozen for most of the year. Even in
Thanks
summer,
for coming.
it's an
I appreciate you
unpredictable
being
environment.
here.
You're going to have a situation where there are very small windows of time where there could be the potential to transit, and that doesn't offer the certainty the shipping industry needs.
While questions remain about shipping, there's something else the melting ice may reveal.
There's been this
See, we need
narrative
all that
of the
water
last
now.
frontier of sort of rich access to resources that haven't been accessible in the
Put all the
past.
data centers there.
It's estimated that 30% of the world's undiscovered gas and 13% of undiscovered oil is there. Minerals too, particularly in Greenland.
If the U.S. were to gain access to Greenland's resources, it could significantly reduce our dependence on foreign suppliers, particularly China, which currently operates a virtual monopoly on the rare earth market.
But getting these resources is far from simple.
You're dealing with environments that are remote, expensive to operate in, lacking infrastructure, and where there is very little skilled labor close by.
Despite this, global interest in the region
Would it be
and what
wrong
further
to
ice melt
use
might
all
reveal
that for
remains.
something like data
And that could introduce further
Oh, that's-
competition to this already
I don't
contested
think I'm
region.
for it at all after looking
15
at
years
this video. I
ago,
don't think
you
we
would
should
have
put
said
it there
the
either.
Arctic is a region best characterized by high north, low tension. Now we should adapt that slogan to high north, high tension.
Again, that was BBC World Science. One of the world's superpowers are racing to control the Arctic. And then there's this documentary that I looked over for a little bit. I mean, if it's not going to be used and it's a
Greenland.
a necessary
Between
evil,
jagged glaciers and secluded valleys, isolated villages and slowly dancing icebergs, Greenland is the home of giants. Follow us on our journey as
I
we
don't think
explore the
that's what God
natural
created
wonders
all
of
that
one of the
for.
last wild places on Earth.
look at all that water as opposed to using ours, we are just destroying everything beautiful. It is the truth. And turning everything into no emotion android. We're just taking the emotion out of life altogether.
This travel documentary was produced in collaboration with Visit Greenland.
"19 hours ago." I want to know what is the 11 hours ago. Let's watch this.
Donald Trump doesn't need an invasion to take Greenland. He has quieter options, and Europe knows it. Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark, but it already hosts America's northernmost base, Pituffik Space Base, critical for missile defense and space surveillance. The first option is money. The US has bought territory before: Alaska, Louisiana, the Virgin Islands. Trump tried in 2019. Truman tried in 1946. Both failed, so Washington shifted tactics. The next option is a compact of free association. Like US deals with Pacific Island states, Greenland gets trade and defense guarantees. America gets near total military access without annexation. Denmark strongly opposes this. Trump's final lever isn't nuke, it's Europe. Europe remains dependent on US security guarantees. Washington can pressure allies without firing a shot. That's why Europe is alarmed. Push too hard. Europe unites against you. Move too fast. NATO starts to crack. Use force. And America destroys its greatest weapon, its alliances. Donald Trump doesn't need an invasion.
It's an interesting perspective. They're saying that he's ushering in a new world order.
Everyone thinks Trump wants Greenland for minerals. That's not the real reason. Greenland is geography. It sits between North America and Europe, right on the Guyuki Gap, the naval corridor Russia and China must cross to reach the Atlantic. During the Cold War, NATO treated this as a red line. Here's the part most people miss. Ballistic and hypersonic missiles from Russia pass over the Arctic. Greenland is where the US gets its first warning. That's why the US operates Thule Air Base, home to missile warning radar that tracks launches and space activity. In nuclear strategy, 30 to 60 seconds of early warning can decide retaliation or restraint. Now add climate change. The Arctic is warming 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. New sea routes can cut Asia-Europe shipping time by up to 40%, bypassing traditional NATO choke points. Whoever controls Greenland controls early warning, Arctic access, and Atlantic denial. Trump isn't chasing land. He's locking down first strike detection and last move control. Minerals are optional. Geography is not. Everyone.
Well, that's my show today on Greenland. I hope y'all enjoyed it and gave you some food for thought. I appreciate you, White Rabbit, for coming in, and I hope y'all have a great day. See y'all tomorrow.
Bye-bye. Thanks now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Go, Monty, go, 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 go!
He's got green grass in front of him. He's at the 5 touchdown.
Woo!
Yeah, well, I'm a nobody. I'm a loser. I'm a bum. I'm a bozo. I'm neither here nor there and all that jazz. Yeah.
How y'all doing tonight? Hope everybody's doing real good.
tells the wind all her secrets. They blow out to sea, wash up on beaches. Then the water knows her truths. And when the moon lights up her face, her freckles mirror the stars in space. And she knows where she came from. She bravely climbs her greatest mountains, walks 1,000 miles, but who's counting? Then one day she sees how far she's come. She knows she's never alone, for in her body she's found home. And the freedom is so sweet. She's got a gypsy soul that was meant to roam, and she follows where it tells her to go. She falls in love with love. She sees the world from above, and this moment is the only time she knows. She leaves a wake of her footprints. She finds stillness in the movement and peace from the pain. For each wound is a teacher. She finds strength in what she thought would beat her, but no scar is left in vain. She sees the truth behind the lies. Fear wears such a great disguise, but it is love that wins the game. So she bets it all for love, doubles her fortune, buys a new pair of gloves, so she can sleep under the stars. She's got a gypsy soul